Welcome back to AIM Agenda. Now to the Trade Minister, Andrew Robb, who is in New Delhi as part of the Prime Minister's mission there. He spoke to Sky News political reporter David Lipson from New Delhi, and he's told him that Australia will be taking a 300-strong business delegation to India in January.
Andrew, Robb, thank you for your time. Trade between India and Australia is strong, but it has dropped off a bit in recent years. How are you going to turn that around?
Well, in many ways it is making sure that our business people understand the opportunity. It's a $15 billion two-way trade, but our two-way trade with China is $150 billion, 10 times more. So the opportunities, if we have the contact, and a lot of it is personal contact and trust and relationships, but India is now starting to move in a big way, and we can capture a lot of that opportunity. There's so much that we've got in common as two countries.
And that's clearly where the big delegation in January next year will come into play.
Well, that's it. We have decided to have another return trip soon in January. I'll bring something like 300 Australian business people with me for a week across 4 cities, and it'll be, I think, a wonderful opportunity not only to send a signal to India and to the Australian business community, but to in fact encourage a lot of relationships and opportunities to be identified.
That sort of thing is a great picture opportunity. It's a great junket for those involved. But how much evidence is there that that sort of mega delegation actually gets results, actually sees business deals done?
Well, it is a lot of work for people who turn up. I mean, it's speed dating on a grand scale in many respects. But we took 700 people to China a few months ago, 4 cities. Nearly $1 billion worth of MOUs and contracts were signed that week, and since then direct results that we can identify show several $1 billion worth of new infrastructure, new hotels and other activity has occurred in Australia. So the evidence is there in spadefuls. This is a very effective technique.
Uranium here in India, obviously a controversial element for some elements of the Australian community. Can you explain what's been done to ensure that Australian uranium doesn't end up in Indian nuclear bombs, and also to ensure that India's nuclear power plants are safe enough for the citizens here?
Well, firstly, they've already got, and they've had for 30 odd or 40 years, nuclear powered power plants, and they have been, that's old technology. They've got the new technology, which I think is extremely sophisticated and safe and recognised by the Americans and everyone else as being state-of-the-art and very safe. Secondly, they are looking to, by 2050, to have a quarter, 25% of all of their power usage in a country of well over 1 billion people will be generated by nuclear-powered power stations. And thirdly, we've spent years now with the Indian officials satisfying ourselves that all of the protections and all of the processes are in place, which will mean that this will be used for peaceful power generation and nothing else.
As you mentioned, China is streets ahead in terms of overall trade compared to India. Why is that? Why is India so far behind in its trade with Australia?
Well, in many ways, there's been a major focus on North Asia. A lot of it was because of the resources demand that coming out of China and Japan and Korea, which has driven a lot of the relationships over the last decade or more. That sort of resource demand has not been so prominent out of India. It is now starting. They really were, in many respects, I think, 10 or 15 years behind China in terms of their readiness to open up their economy in a way that really will prompt a lot of activity. Now, with the new Prime Minister, Modi, his whole history is a man who has opened up areas that he's been responsible for. There is a great enthusiasm and expectation that India is really going to grasp the nettle and institute the sorts of reforms that will lead to a rapid increase in the prosperity across this nation.
Trade Minister there speaking to David Lipson in India. Now it's